Hey guys, Mel here. In today's practice, you don't necessarily need any props. We're just going to go ahead and get started. So let's start in our seat, and however you want to sit is totally fine, cross-legged or on your knees or any other variation. But as you find your seat, just try to anchor down. Feel that connection. Just the ground, the earth below you. Close your eyes. And then just start to connect with the space around you. Obviously, I'm in the studio, but it's raining quite heavily outside. Because of that, there's an impact into the energy that I'm feeling. And probably the energy that will move through this class. Today's practice, we'll really think about grounding, and connecting. So just starting with that connection to your breath, flowing the inhale and the exhale. You can just work with a really natural rhythm here. And we're going to move into a little bit of breath work, our Nadi Shodhana, so our alternative nostril breath. So with this one, we're not pushing it to a place that we feel really uncomfortable with the breath. Start with smaller breaths if that helps. And we're just going to use our right hand, making perhaps a little mudra with the hands, but sometimes it's just we want the thumb on one side of the nose, and it could be the pinky, most likely the ring finger on the other side. So I like to bring my middle finger and my index finger and press them against the acupressure point in between my eyebrows. So from here, you're going to closing your left nostril, take a big breath in through your right. And then when you get to the top of that inhale, close your right nostril and let out the breath through your left. Take a breath in through your left. Pause at the top. Switch over, block the left nostril and breathe out as you open up the right. And again, big breath in through the right nostril. Pause at the top. Close off the right, open up the left and breathe out of the left side. Breathing in through the left, closing the nostril, opening up the right. Exhale out of the right. And continuing with your own time, breathing in through the right, close the right, open the left, and breathe out. Just a couple more rounds. When you come through your next round, just gently releasing your hand down, maybe giving your wrist a shake or your wrist a little bit of rotation as you find a relaxed position for the hands and just coming back to a natural breath. And as you breathe in this more natural rhythm, just noticing any feelings of sensation. Maybe you feel a little more balanced, a little more grounded. Taking one more breath here, then opening the eyes. Give your shoulders a nice big roll. And just taking your right hand over to your right hand side. Pressing through the fingertips, reach the left hand up towards the ceiling. And then spread the fingers, hold on to the base of the head here, so around the hairline. So really trying to grip your fingertips around the head. press into the right fingertips and look underneath that left shoulder. Now if that feels okay to lean back a little bit into that left forearm, go ahead, maybe even lift the chin. Take a big breath in. And then tuck your chin in towards your chest, but bring your left hand down beside the body. Right hand comes up, inhale, neck to neutral, and then holding onto the back of the neck, pull that elbow back initially, push through the left fingertips, looking to the right, maybe lifting and pressing back a little. And take another full breath in here. And breath out, just bringing that down, chin towards the chest. Inhale, roll the shoulders. Exhale, release them. And let's come on to all fours now. Make your way into a 4-point pose. So that's on hands and knees. And just move around until you feel really stable. Then from here, we're just going to move into the sides of the body. So as we take an inhale, we find a bit of length. And then as we start to exhale, we're going to look towards our right foot. And as we do that, we're leaning to the right side, pushing more through the left hand, a little crunch on the right side of the body. Breathing in, come back to center. Exhale, look towards the left, leaning to that side a little, chin towards shoulder. And breath in, come back. This time when you do it, if you want to, bend your right elbow. So look towards your right foot, bend your right elbow, come up onto your left fingertips, drop the chest a little, push the left elbow forward. Inhale, come back to center. And then looking left, come up onto the right fingertips, drop the left elbow a little, push the right forward. Breath into center. And then sliding your hands forward. Keep your hips over your knees. Let's come into our melting heart. So you can drop your forehead onto the ground. Your forehead can come onto your hands. Or maybe you prefer to float your forehead up. Take another full breath in. And as you let go of your exhale, gliding forward onto your belly. Now as you make your way onto your belly, just start to awkwardly shimmy your right elbow so it's right in front of the sternum here. And then bring your left elbow in front of that. And then pulling the elbows so they're stacked, open up your hands towards the sides. And then once again, a little awkward, but roll from side to side so that you can get your hands as far away from the shoulders as possible. Once you've found that place, drop your chin towards your bicep. If you want a little bit more here, maybe hold on to opposite shoulder blades. And take another full breath in. And breath out, just let that go. Slide your elbows out and just switch it over to the other side. So stacking the right elbow in front of the left this time. Wiggle out. So really try to get that movement. Opening up. Drop your chin. Maybe hold on to the shoulder blades. We're trying to hug into those shoulder blades here. And take another full breath in. And breath out, just letting that go. Coming out once again, let's bring our elbows now so they're underneath the shoulders into our Sphinx position. So from here, push into the elbows, spark the fingers, like they're kind of turning out towards the corners of your mat, and just pull your heart forward, draw your elbows back. Take another full breath in. As you breathe out, drop your forehead down, slide your hands underneath your shoulders, or maybe back beside the rib cage. And bring the big toes together. As we start to lift and press into the hands, lift your sit bones back, take your knees out wide. Let's just come into a child's pose. And just hold here for a few breaths. Really trying to broaden through the upper back. And breathe into your hips. And slowly coming up, back onto all fours. From here, we're moving into our downward facing dog. So setting up for that, fingers spread, pressing through the heels of your hands, tucking your toes, float the tail up, and come into that down dog shape. Just pedaling your feet, bending a knee at a time, pressing away as much as you can. Take maybe 2 more breaths here. Then lifting up onto your tippy toes. Just drop your knees back down onto the mat. Coming back onto all fours. I'm just going to spin around now to face you. From this position, what we're going to do is bring the right knee forward, right foot around that left hip, and then just step the left foot over the right knee. I think I said at the beginning you might not need props or anything, but it's kind of good practice to have a towel, a blanket, cushion, something to maybe sit up on nearby that you could use, and this would be a pose that it might be really handy for. So the left foot over, we're just going to maybe slide that left foot back towards the right hip, but if that feels irritating for the knees, we won't. We'll just keep it forward. And then from here, we're just finding a bit of space on those sit bones, so hands either side, and then just starting to fold forward a little. We're going to stretch into that outer left hip. And just holding for a few breaths. And if this is feeling good, I want you to stay like this in the legs, but maybe just take your right arm over to that left-hand side as well. And you can even hook your elbow onto the back of that knee, adding a little bit of resistance. Lengthen your heart towards the left, just finding a little bit of release. Just taking one more full breath here. And slowly coming back to center. If we're still okay with our legs like this, keeping them like this, remember we can always hop that knee up a little higher, and we can sit on something to help. We're going to inhale, lift the arms up now, and as we exhale, spark the fingers out to the sides like you're kind of welcoming a big hug, and then bring your right elbow underneath your left, and see if you can hold on to opposite shoulder blades. So creep your hands around, lifting up through the elbows. And then as you breathe out, see if you can drop your elbows towards your left knee. Maybe even drop your head, tuck your chin. If this is feeling really good and accessible to you, maybe you might lift the hands up and see if you can interlace them, but just resting the elbows on that knee. Taking another full breath in here. And then breath out, just releasing those arms. With our legs still like this, we're just going to spin around to the other side. So coming forward into the hands, you're going to leave your feet where they are. Imagine they're on little turntables. Lift the hips, walk your hands to the right, to the back of your mat, to the left-hand side, and then back to the front. Your legs will then recross. You should have your right leg on top of the left. And so that foot can be forward, it can even be on the inside. We can gather something to sit on, or we can slide that right foot back closer to the hip. And first of all, setting up, so hands either side, try to find that balance in the body. So we'll always have a side that's more dominant. We're always going to have parts of the body that want to compensate for others. But we just, more importantly than trying to fix those things, we just want to feel into it. We're trying to build that connection with how the body moves. So hands, little suction caps onto the earth here as we press into the sit bones and just allow that little fold. And it might not be a very deep fold. You might feel like you can completely rest on that thigh, but just trying to find a pose for you that is really welcoming, accessible. And if it feels pretty good, then start to lift up and reach your arms up, find a bit of height. And then opening up as we exhale, really sparking and reaching, bringing your left elbow underneath your right. So starting to reach your arms around, little creepy hands as we bring them around the back, and then dropping the elbows down and forward. Maybe tuck the chin. And just thinking of that broadening across the upper back. And if it's feeling good, to stack the elbows and interlace them, grip the hands, go ahead. And just a couple more breaths here. And slowly just releasing, bringing the arms down. From here, we'll just hop that right foot over, take it quite wide, doesn't need to be hip distance. Hands behind us, left foot comes forward too. We'll just drop the knees from side to side. Just let your chest open as you do this. Let your knees kind of wiggle about. Then we're going to make our way onto our backs. So as we find our way onto our backs, just get you to hug your knees into your belly once you get there. Moving from side to side. Little rounding through the lower back, so circles can feel pretty good here. And then what we're going to do is let the left foot touch the earth so that the left knee points towards the ceiling. Extending your right leg up, flex your right foot and just bring your right ankle just in front of that left knee here so that you've got a little figure 4 shape. Now try to keep the space between your thighs, so don't bring your legs together, but as you next breathe out, drop your right foot over to the left hand side. Grabbing hold of your right foot with your left hand, you can bring that foot a little closer to your left hip and just open up your right arm. So the back of your right shoulder melts towards the ground and you're trying to intentionally let that right hip fall towards the ground. And you can close your eyes here or just soften your gaze. As we start to feel a closer connection to the earth below us, it'd be great if you could use your breath to think of each exhale as an opportunity just to earth and anchor a little more. So feeling connection to the space we're in, our roots, our family perhaps, things that come to mind when you think of the connections you have. And just giving some space for that opens up space for gratitude. Let's hold here for 5 more deep breaths. And really slowly, when you come to the end of your 5th breath, keeping your legs in this figure 4 shape, just come back towards center. So left foot is still grounded, right foot still stays in front of the knee. If you need to release this, of course, go ahead. Otherwise, just coming in to thread the needle, reach your hands through and hold on to the back of your left thigh. Keep a little flex in that right foot, and if you want to, you could even try reaching and holding on to that knee. So you can go over the top, or you could still thread the needle. Hands can come through and hold the front of the left knee, just finding a slightly deeper pull through. And just take 2 to 3 more breaths. And slowly letting the left foot come down for a moment. So releasing the hands around the knee. And then just continue this crossover of the right knee over cross of the left so that your knees stack now. From here, we're going to now pull the knees in towards the belly. And so the legs are crossed. And we'll just start by holding the knees in. And you might be feeling more than enough just like this. So this is where you can stay. Or maybe walk your hands down onto the outsides of your legs. Maybe try to reach for the feet. If you've got the outer edges of the feet, you can encourage your heels to come closer to your hips. And that's going to actually offer a bit less intensity. If you want more intensity through the hips here, keep that flex through the feet, but start to lift the shin bones so they're kind of parallel with the ground. But just anywhere in between, just as long as your feet are a little engaged. Take 1 more full breath. And coming back to center, so walk your hands up your knees, unravel, hug the knees in, roll from side to side. And then from here, just dropping your left foot back down. The left knee still points up. Pull your right knee in towards your chest and just over towards your right shoulder. Now, at any time that it feels appropriate to lengthen that left leg, go ahead. Otherwise, keeping the right knee in, let's hold on to the outer edge of the right foot and just lifting the right heel, encouraging the knee over to the side of the body, come into a half happy baby. So with this one, you might even need to reposition, so pulling the right rib cage towards the center. The left foot stays grounded, or we can extend the leg, but we can also let that left knee fall out a little bit here. And you can come onto the outer edge of it. Left arm could just come out to the side. I like to keep it closer to my body. Knowing we're here for about 5 more breaths, might be a good opportunity to just close down the eyes. And once again, find that gratitude, that connection. Be in the environment that you're in, but maybe looking at it through fresh eyes, with eyes of gratitude. And when you come to the end of your next breath, just bringing your knees back in towards the belly. Hug them in, roll from side to side. Make some circles if that feels good too. And then when you're ready, we're going to let the right foot touch the earth. The right knee points up. We'll extend the left leg. Then bend at the knee, bring that ankle just in front of the right knee. Keep the space between your thighs. And then roll that left foot over to the right. Hold on to the left foot with the right hand and just pull it a little closer to the hip. Left arm just out to the side. And now that you've done one side and you're a little bit more aware where we're going, you could just close your eyes and really melt into this. It's like with any online practice, if you find that you've come to a place and it's just where you need to be, you're always welcome to take longer. You can always press pause, of course, or you could just stay where you are for as long as you need. But as you find that breath, you might even feel like a little bit of you is just letting go of some unwanted or unneeded tension in the outer hip. We've just got 5 more breaths on this side. See if you can follow your breath. Notice if that encourages you to breathe a little deeper. As we constantly look for this place of observation, it's not judgment. We can just be a little detached from our bodies sometimes. And yoga is just really good at bringing us back into that connection and that awareness of how we feel, how we're moving, what we need. And that's what we're working for today. When you find the end of your next breath, coming back to center, keeping your legs in this figure 4 shape and finding your thread the needle. So holding on to the back of your right leg, maybe the front of the knee. You can go over the top, or you can thread through. Keep that little flex through the left foot though. And it's okay if your lower back lifts a little. For most people it will, but try to avoid that kind of really big lift if you can. Try to anchor as much of your spine onto the earth as possible. And just allowing your breath to find appropriate depth. This collaboration of movement and breath is the best thing I've found to really anchor me in my body. And as I mentioned, disconnect from the body is quite common, and even yoga teachers experience it a fair bit too. From here, just releasing the right leg, continuing the migration of the left leg, slide it so that the knee comes over top of the right. And then you might just pull the knees in towards the belly. You can interlace your hands. You might find, especially if you're feeling a little tight in this area, that, this is way more than you even need, and you could even drop the foot back down. Or maybe you're going to walk the hands along the legs, maybe get the feet, maybe even lift the feet, or keep them around the sit bones. Whatever option you've come into, just holding for not as long, few big, full breaths. Sometimes we get really caught up with rushing from pose to pose. So we're just holding in these stretches. And you find the end of your next breath, allowing the knees to unravel, maybe hugging them back in, moving from side to side. Getting ready for half happy baby on the left. So letting your right foot touch down, right knee points to the ceiling, or you might extend straight away. Bending at that left knee, you can hold the outer edge or the inner edge of the foot, whatever feels more comfortable for you. And if holding the foot just isn't an option, holding the ankle or the back of the knee here. The right knee can fall out to the side, and you can just open up into a space that feels really nurturing and nourishing for you. In yoga, we talk about energy. It's a system of exchange, and we're constantly bringing energy into the body with our breath, our prana. But we also do that with the food we eat, the time we allow for the body to recover, so sleeping and resting, stretching. So just thinking of this energy exchange, this recovery time. Just a few more breaths. And slowly starting to bring that knee in, hugging your right knee in, just moving from side to side, always welcoming little circles or natural movements. Then we're going to move into a supine twist here, slightly different. So taking the feet out towards the sides of the mat, so a little wider than hip distance. Then we're just going to take the knees over to the right hand side. Now, as we do that, the left knee more than likely drop more towards the center. I even like to wiggle my left foot out a bit. So your feet can be out wide, and your right foot can be grounded here as the left knee points forward. If you want something a little bit more, flexing your right foot, you're going to bring it on top of your left knee and use it as a bit of an anchor to push down. You could open your arms, or once again, if you prefer to keep them close, keep them close. If it feels good for your neck to look in the opposite direction of your knees, you might want to reach the left arm out and look over that hand. Maybe even bringing your right hand on your belly just to feel into your breath. For 2 more. And coming back to center, dropping the right foot down, slow transitions as we drop the knees over to the left. You could wiggle your right foot out a little more if that helps. And open your arms, and left foot could potentially come on top of the right knee. You can use that for a little bit of resistance, and that will really open up that right leg. Maybe look to the left, maybe just to the ceiling. And pause with your intention. Check in with how this is actually feeling, something you need, if it's something you don't. And a couple more breaths. And just making your way back to center. Grounding your feet, maybe just washing your knees from side to side or hugging them in. You'll have a preference here. And then when you're ready to stretch out your legs, go ahead. We're going to stretch out the legs nice and long and finish up with a really nice back of the neck stretch. So interlacing your hands around the back of your head as if you're about to do a sit-up here. And then lift your elbows up towards the ceiling. Now we want to soften the belly. But we're going to pull the elbows towards our feet and then let the head fall really heavy into the hands. We need to close our eyes in this one, otherwise the head really struggles with this idea of relaxing. So pull the elbows forward, tuck your chin into your chest. Pull the elbows down into the back. Soften your belly. Add a lot of pressure with the hands. Take just one more breath in. And as you let go of your breath, let your head fall towards the mat. Take your hands away from your head. Bring your hands out anywhere, wide on the body, overhead. And just feel once again into your breath. Encourage it to move through the back of the body, into the back of the ribs. Feel that expansion, all of that prana, all of that energy just coming in, and we're just letting anything we don't need out. Just keeping a bit of focus with your breath. And if you're okay keeping your eyes closed, just letting them stay closed, and then starting to bring your body into a more restful state, into our Shavasana. So you might need to move a little bit more, or find a different breath rhythm or a focus before this pose feels somewhere comfortable for you right now. Or maybe the time and your environment just doesn't allow for it. But if you can, spending as much time as you've got here. Rest and restore, recover. Think of every breath as an opportunity for energy to come in, restore, and then that exhale just sends out that tension, stress, thoughts that we don't need, all of the things. So as I mentioned, please take as much time as you've got here, but this is where I will leave you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.